All right, welcome to the relationship show. This woman writes this post. She says, talk for 3 weeks, agreed to meet up vaguely. Then conversation slowed, and now she left me on red when I suggested a date. She said, I'd like to preface this by saying we are both women into women. Yeah, okay, so what you did, it was you just basically did a vague date and you weren't decisive, weren't direct to the point. So even in like lesbian, gay, straight relationships, all relationships need that polarity for that attraction. So it's like you'll observe, and a lot of lesbian couples really understand this, is that one's usually more in their masculine and one's in their feminine. And so right now, if you are trying to be in that masculine role, right now you're being vague, you're not being decisive, direct, and so you're not displaying those masculine qualities. She says we have been virtually introduced to a friend while she was on holiday abroad. She's 30. We talked daily and long messages too, like she was dedicated to the conversation. Maybe at the start, but it's like once you just like always talk to somebody over texting and never get to a date, it's like how long talk 3 weeks of this? It's like, well, are they going to get to the point? I mean, are they going to be direct, decisive, get on a date, get to the outcome instead of just kind of like beating around the bush, oh maybe, and no one's really taking the lead? When you do this, it's like, well, eventually it's probably going to get just a little bit boring if you're just only texting. Then she came back and there were a few casual but quirky messages. Yeah, what happened? Well, space. You're texting pretty much every day, I'm assuming, for 3 weeks. And then all of a sudden, like it fades off. She doesn't text you back and then you back off. What happens? That space is created. Now there's that opportunity to wonder about you, and then she comes back. Um, And when she comes back in those situations, assume that she wants to see you. And so that's when you really want to make a definite, decisive date and lock that date in, and then just go have a fun date. Yeah, with the other person. Last weekend, I asked her if she was free X and X day for a date, and she replied, these were both the days she couldn't make it. Okay. Good start. Very good start. But sometimes a better approach for scheduling is to ask her, hey, what days are you free? When are you free to get together? What's your schedule availability like? That way, she's going to give you a day that she's free. Either she's going to give you a day that she's free, or she's not going to give you anything at all, and that really just communicates a lower interest. And then you might not even pursue, or you back off even further. You wait a couple more weeks, and then if she reaches out again, that's when you set another date. But just as far as scheduling, she'll give you a day, and then that's when you say the definite time, location, and lock it in, not necessarily just going for one thing. Sometimes it can be more difficult. But also read if she's giving you, if you do this approach where it's just like you just like have a set day and you're making all the plans. Well, just recognize if she reschedules. If she's like, oh, I can't do it this day, but what about this day? If she does that, that communicates more interest. If she doesn't, just says, oh, that doesn't work for me, then it can communicate that her interest level is not at a very high level. It might still be there, but it's not at a high level. Let's see. It wasn't complete silence last weekend. Oh yeah, okay. Asked her out for a date, and she replied, these were both the days she couldn't make it. So I said I could arrange for Y if she preferred. She said not to mind, that next week was great too. Yeah, I mean, it's communicating low interest. It's like if someone's really interested in you, they're going to drop their schedule to be with you, or they're going to make time to be with you, not put you off for another week. Yesterday morning, I asked her 2 ideas for a date. So it does seem like you are the one that's trying to be more in their masculine, take the lead, take charge. But when was the last time you asked her out? Last weekend, now this. So it's maybe a little bit of over pursuit and a little too short of a time period between asking her out, especially if she hasn't given you a time to like reschedule. It's like you want to just give her space in these situations. And you're also asking her questions on like what to do. And so right now she's being indecisive and then you're being indecisive. So it's like you really need to step up and be the one who has a plan, has a lead, direct, decisive, has already, well, has made the plan, and basically ask her to join you in that way. Parentheses, a painting contest because we both like painting. That's an awesome idea. Or a walk in the nearby lake. Yeah, and you could also, with things like that, I mean, you can do both. And sometimes that can make a better experience. And then on top of that, maybe you get some like some dinner or some kind of appetizers or some drinks after or whatever it is. Um, yeah, just stacking multiple locations can often lead to a more fun experience. And that date you got planned seems like a lot of fun. It was yesterday morning, and she left me on red. However, she keeps watching my story. And so she might have, well, you don't know what else is going on with her, too. So it's like you don't know her backstory, what other context, if there's another person in the picture. You just don't know. So it's like, but what you can tell from this interaction is her interest might be there. She maybe like thinks about you by like watching your stories. She's like, but it's not, her attraction is not at a level that's really high enough to date. And ideally, you want to find people who have a high level of interest in you, because if you do, it eliminates so many problems. It's usually a lot more fun. The two of you are often much more open and excited to see each other. You have much more margin of safety if you do make some like fault or some kind of mistake. If their attraction is still at a very high level, it's like you have, you know, that threshold down here. You have that gap if you make a mistake versus someone that's just like barely going on a date with you. If you make even like one mistake, you're probably done. So from your perspective right now, I would back off. If she reaches out to you, I would present one more date. I would say, hey, when are you free to get together? What's your schedule availability like? Or what days are you free this week? Say it like that, which assumes that she will say yes. If she just kind of is like flaky, like she has been, walk away. And then she has to be the one who brings up getting together after that. It's like if you walk away after that, after asking him, I usually say 2 times, but your contact, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like, one, these things I'm saying aren't really set in stone how many times you should ask her out, but it's like you asked her out a couple times in like basically like a little bit of a cluster. And so I would say that you really have like one more shot at this. So it's like you back off and wait 2 weeks, and then once she reaches out, do that with the assumption close. If she is flaky, like she has been again, um, walk away and mean it, and don't pursue her anymore. And then she has to contact you and bring up a date. If she contacts you, it's just like, hey, yeah, great to see you, but I got to run, you know, take care or stay in touch. If you do that, and then she has to physically say, you know, hey, when are you free to get together? Or what's, you know, she has to ask you out. Relationships are a lot like negotiation, and that's really a negotiation tactic. And it's really effective as far as getting dates. So that's kind of what I would say moving forward. Be more direct, decisive, to the point when you ask her out. Take the lead. and give her space.